Okay, good. So I'm very glad that everyone is joining us today, is awake, alert, and hopefully past jet lag. This is the third day, I think, that you're here with us since you landed, and they say that it takes an hour a day to kind of get into the new timeline. So hopefully you're awake and had a nice opportunity to experience sunshine and fresh air during the weekend. And today I want to continue in the presentation that we've prepared. And the subject I'm going to talk about now is building and developing the relationship with our patient or client, as we can say. And again, I want to say I'm going to be speaking about this and a few other things in the next hour and a half or so. We're going to have a 5-minute break in about 40 minutes. And I invite you to participate. This is the more you participate, I think the more beneficial people will be. And of course, this is an opportunity for you to get to know each other and learn from each other's experiences and so on. So this is why we're doing this as well. And so everyone can benefit. So building and developing the relationship with our client. I just want to say that this is a special kind of relationship. I've mentioned this before. We all have had work experience. We go to work, we come home, and then, there's an on button and there's an off button in our system. And in our off button, we relate to our family, friends in one way. There are people that have almost complete differences, very extreme differences between how they reacted work situations and how they reacted home. I hear that very often. Oh, I can't believe that my father is like this, he's at home so different, than he is in a social situation. So I think everybody has experienced this kind of dichotomy of the way people behave when they're in a work situation than when they're, family and home situation. So this is only to stress how more difficult it is when family and work and home are one, are all in one. So, you must be minded. I keep repeating that, our personality and our sensitivities and our emotional intelligence and everything that, that makes up our personality and makes us better people is all going to be on call at all times, because this is a very new and special relationship, living and working in the same place. And one of the things that you're going to have to learn how to develop is certain boundaries. We have to be involved emotionally, but then again, this is a work situation. So going in and out of that kind of an interaction is going to be something new for most of you, and hopefully you'll learn how to deal with all of those differences. So let's think about what is involved in building a relationship with a client. So what does it involve? First of all, creating good communication, coordination of expectations, building trust, creating the caregiving alliance, and of course, taking into account social and cultural components. So let's talk a little bit about each one of those things. Before that, I want to stress that, communication styles are something that are sometimes irrelevant to culture. It's a personal, personality kind of a thing. And I want to talk about 4 types of communication styles that I think are prevalent all over, the world. It's very common, and you'll understand what I'm saying in a few minutes. So firstly, every person has a unique communication style, a way in which they interact and exchange information with others. There are 4 basic communication styles: passive, aggressive, passive-aggressive, and assertive. And these communication styles, I think that if I explain more about them, you'll understand that you've come across them before. And of course, most importantly, important to know how to deal with each one of these if you come across them. So it's important to understand each communication style and why individuals use them. For example, the assertive communication style has been found to be the most effective because it incorporates all the best aspects of all the other styles. When we break down these 4 styles, we'll better understand the characteristics of each style and standard phrases and what makes them unique. So first, let's talk about the passive communicator. Passive communicators often display a lack of eye contact, poor body posture, and an inability to say no. Passive communicators also act in a way that states people never consider my feelings. And passive communicators are also easy to get along with as they follow orders and go with the flow. So maybe it's easy to get along with passive communicators, but there's a very big but next to that type of communication uh, style, because we never really know what the person is thinking or feeling because he doesn't look you in the eye and he doesn't really say what he's thinking and feeling. So this is very frustrating. Also, to take care of someone who is passive, and also if we behave in a passive. So, I was asked earlier about looking a person in the eye, and yes, we highly recommend looking a person in the eye and trying to connect in a minimal way, through eye contact. So very often, if you are a passive communicator or you are dealing with a passive communicator, you don't know they're depressed, they're sad. They, we might think that they agree to everything we suggest and say to them, but perhaps they don't agree. And so this is very difficult to deal with people that are passive in their communication style. Aggressive communicators, the aggressive communication style is emphasized by speaking in a loud, demanding voice, maintaining intense eye contact, dominating and controlling others by blaming, intimidating, criticizing, threatening, and attacking them, among other traits. So yes, this is a very unpleasant type of communication style. And when we are encounter this kind of communication, this is the way people speak to us, our employer or someone else in his family, very difficult because, it makes us kind of turn away, turn off. Sometimes we don't even hear what they're saying. We're just responding to the way they're saying it. And automatically we kind of, turn ourselves off emotionally, or perhaps we get even angrier as well. But this is a very, very difficult type of communication style if we need to deal with it, right? And the passive aggressive communication style users appear to be passive on the surface, but within he or she may feel powerless or stuck, building up a resentment that leads to seething or acting out in subtle and indirect ways. Most passive aggressive communicators will mutter to themselves rather than confront a person or an issue. They have difficulty acknowledging their anger, use facial expressions that don't correlate with how they feel, and even deny that there is a problem. This is also a very difficult communication style because people give you double messages, right? On the one hand, they may say something nice and smile, but on the other hand, you have a feeling that it's not genuine, that they're not really expressing what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and so on. And it becomes very difficult to deal with that. If a person is passive aggressive, they don't say what they're thinking, and so you don't know how to respond and how to do what you need to do for them because they don't tell you. They just, may tell you indirectly or be angry afterwards if you don't do the right thing. Very difficult to understand and deal with people that are passive aggressive. And the assertive communication style. Assertive communicators can express their own needs, desires, ideas, feelings, while also considering the needs of others. One of the keys to assertive communication is using the I statement. such as I feel frustrated when you are late or for a meeting, or I don't have to explain over and over. It indicates ownerships of feeling and behaviors without blaming the other person. Being an assertive communicator is something that highly recommended, okay? Highly recommended. Saying what you think, saying what you feel, trying to understand what the person in front of you is feeling and thinking. And this is so important, especially when you have a language barrier and also, of course, a culture barrier. So being assertive, not necessarily aggressive, just assertive in the way that you present yourself and your feelings openly and directly, highly recommended. So let's sum up what I talked about. The passive communication style: emotionally dishonest, indirect, inhibited, self-denying, blaming, and apologetic, okay? Being a passive communicator, you can always, not always, but very often be taken advantage of, because if you don't respond and if you don't, and if you don't react, then people may assume that you agree to everything that they suggest and, and perhaps not act in your best interest. The passive aggressive communicator is emotionally dishonest, indirect, self-denying at first, and self-enhancing at the expense of others, okay? Aggressive communicators, inappropriately being honest, direct, expressive, attacking, blaming, controlling, self-enhancing at the expense of others. And the assertive, the green one, the one that we try to achieve in our own communication style and encourage all around us to behave also in the same way, to be appropriately honest, direct, self-enhancing and expressive, self-confident, empathetic to the emotions of all involved. So tools for effective communication. Understanding how others communicate can be a key to getting your message across to them. In order to develop effective communication style, here are a few tips to keep in mind. Firstly, take ownership, okay? That means use the I statement. I think, I understand, I would like to, to do this, that, and the other. Very important, okay? Present what you are understanding or thinking. Maintain eye contact. Very important to look a person in the eye. Voice your needs and desires confidently, and don't forget to smile. All right, guys, everybody smile. We didn't smile yet this morning at each other. Very important. Exactly. I see that, Christine. Right, quick and to the point. Right, absolutely. Very important. It sends an important message when you smile. No matter what you're saying, if they understand you or don't, if they can see a smile, it'll work better. I have to tell you, people, when I was working in an organization where I needed to hire people, I interviewed them for about an hour or so. And if a person didn't smile a lot during our interview, no matter what we talked about, I really did not consider them seriously for the position. So you have to understand the importance of a smile, really, really. I know even if you're anxious and you're tense and so on, smiling is just so important. Really, it is. Okay, make an effort. And I will tell you something else, that studies have shown that, when you put your face into this kind of a gesture, even if you're not in the mood to smile, automatically endorphins come through your brain and make you feel more relaxed. So, okay, so some people, even when they're very anxious, they smile and it seems so inappropriate, but it's better for them. It's always better to smile. Okay. So how to deal with aggressive behavior or language? This is a very difficult situation when you encounter people that are, truly aggressive in their communication. And so here is a YouTube presentation that you may look at later on and perhaps find some interesting and tips that will help you. And now I'd like to talk about nonverbal communication. I think we all know how important that is. Nonverbal communication has to do with everything else except understanding the words, right? Along with the 4 communication style, there is always the nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is a way in which people can transfer information between them without the use of words from the spoken, written, or sign language. Nonverbal communication is expressed in facial expressions, body language, clasped hand indicates closure, tone of voice, physical gestures, standing and touching. Hey, listen, if you know somebody well, you know by looking at them, if you know everything about them. I think in your family and in your friends, you look at them and you already know by the, you know, by the way they move, by the way that their body gesture, by, you know, just looking at them without saying a word, you know, if they're happy, they're sad, they're angry, they're in discomfort, and so on. So body language and nonverbal communication is so, so important, right? And so the first thing that you want to do is try to learn to observe, okay? You must be a very, very good observer of what is going on, and you know, to learn all of those little things about your employer in order that you may respond in a proper way, right? Because language is a barrier. It's not your mother tongue, it's not their mother tongue. And at this point in time, when you don't know a lot of Hebrew and perhaps English is not their best language of communication, body language and nonverbal communication is very important. I also want to add, I said this before, but there are so many other ways of communicating, right? And this is something that you must take into account. Music, smell, touch, and sight, and all of those things. I want you to be sensitive to know what makes your employer feel comfortable, feel relaxed, feel less stressed, and so on and so forth. All of those things you must be assertive in learning about him, okay? And so there will come a time where you will need it and he won't be able to tell you. Right now he can't tell you perhaps because there's this communication and strangers and so on. But very important that you make a note to learn those things, because those will be important tools for you, okay, to learn how to deal with difficult situations. So, you know, sometimes it's something very simple, you know, what they like to smell, their soap, their clothes, the detergent, hand cream. They do like to be touched. They don't like to be touched. You know, they like to be combed. They don't like to be combed. They like to be shaved. They don't like to be shaved. I mean, so many different things that are communication that are not verbal, right? And the more you're sensitive and attuned to all of those little things about them, the better you're going to do your job, and those will be important tools in your toolbox. So tools for effective communication: active listening. Find out what is your patient's opinions, thoughts, and emotions. Try not to make assumptions, and don't make judgments. If they say things that seem kind of weird or silly or, you know, not relevant, okay, you want to be an active listener, not just to hear the words, but to try to understand what they're trying to tell you beyond the words, right? What's involved. Reflection. In order to make sure you understood what your patient meant, try to reflect that you understood what he is saying. I understand that you said so and so, that you mean so and so. When you when you try to what you understand, right? To reflect back what you understand. Maybe you misunderstood. Very important. Very important also to use the words that your employer uses, because that gives them a feeling of affirmation that they really have been heard, okay? You use the same words they use, hopefully they will feel that you understood. And empathy. Empathy is to, to try to understand. Don't have to agree, but you must try to, try to understand what the emotional state and psychological state of your employer is. When you're talking about your opinion, emphasize that it is your opinion, right? I think that, I say that. I want to also say that you must understand that this is a crisis point in your employer's life. Excuse me. No one brings a caregiver to their home, best part of their life. This is the worst part of their life. And so they are in a crisis. That means that, they're also dealing with all of the losses that they have, losing control of, maybe their finances, somebody else is taking care of it, losing control of their medical situation, losing control of, their physical abilities, being a man for the wife, being a wife for the man. A lot of losses, losing the position in the family as head of the family, that, giving to the people in the family instead of always having to receive, having people help you. This is a very difficult time in life for all of these people, and you're entering right at that point. And so you must know that not only you're in a crisis because you're in a new place, new job, don't really know, what is expected from you at the beginning, but they are also in a state of crisis, having to deal with this new situation in their life, okay? Tools for effective communication, 5 stars next to patience, right? We all know that this is very important. Be very patient with your employer, with your patient and his family. The situation is new to them, okay? And it takes time to get to know each other. And you must be patient with yourself as well, okay? Because it's going to take time. And I want to stress that you must take into consideration the family, okay? Very important to understand that this is a team. It's not just one person. Find out who else in the family is involved in the care, okay? You must be proactive in this. So perhaps if there's a few children, perhaps they divide responsibilities. One will do medical issues, another will do finances, or nobody does anything. You have to find out who are the people in the family or friends or neighbors that are involved in caring for your employer, and to encourage them to do so. The fact that you came in doesn't mean that, all right, it's all on you. No, but the way to do it is, to engage them. So find out what their telephone number is. Get them on if there's a family WhatsApp group or another, group that they're all related to. Give regular reports. Be the initiator in calling grandchildren or children, maybe once a week, every 10 days. Hi, grandma wants to say hello. Maybe grandma doesn't do this anymore. But, be proactive in allowing this connection with them, because this is really a very important. Corona is going crazy again all over the world. We don't know where it's going to take us. People are going, also again into being isolated and distanced from family and friends, and things are being canceled. And the Zoom and internet is again picking up to be the most important tool for communication. And I am assuming that maybe not necessarily so, but I'm assuming that most of your employers and people that you're going to be caring for are not so savvy with using these communication skills, so you're going to be very important in helping them to implement them, okay? So yes, once a week, give a report to this daughter or that daughter. If there is a group, we had a good week, I kind of had a hard time with this, that, and the other. Great that everybody called to ask, she responded so positively, whatever. Try to manage also the social and psychological state, because it's going to be to your benefit to be able to assist them in that, okay? And also to pass the time. Like for you, this is the major form of passing the time, right? When you're connecting with friends and family, and subjects of issue, like prayers and lectures and Zoom and Zumba and exercise and dance and music and whatever it is that you're that's important in your life, you're going to be doing through the internet. So try to facilitate that as well to your employer. Okay. I think that's going to make you very important in their life very quickly if you take this on for yourself. Okay. And also, you will find that if you need help from any of the people in his family or friends and surroundings, then you can also ask for it, right? You can also ask for help, perhaps dealing with difficult situations. Perhaps they know how to deal with things that you haven't encountered yet. So nonverbal communication. When talking to a patient, maintain eye contact. Try to speak at eye level. Relax speech, calm your tone of voice. Eye level, I want to talk about eye level. Eye level we can understand in several ways. Firstly, eye level, yes, most of your employers, if they're disabled, they're sitting or laying. Yes, don't stand over them and try to feed them or bathe them or clothe them or anything. Try to sit down and be at their eye level, okay? When you're speaking to them, especially, or doing any kind of care situation, be at their eye level. And also it means, not to talk about them, not to talk down to them. Very often, people think that, oh, they're behaving like children, but no, old people or disabled adults, they are not children. They've been where you have been. And we don't want to teach them anything necessarily. We want to respect what they understand and what they know. And probably they know more than us. Probably they know more than us from their life experience and so on. Very important to understand that, perhaps I've already mentioned this, Israel is a young country of immigrants. People have come from all over the world. They've had, a lot of hardships probably in adjusting and building a life here and so on. So got a lot of opportunity to learn from all of these people, right? Something that will be beneficial to your life experience as well. So I invite you to participate and discuss with me, what is your communication style? What, in your opinion, is the best communication style? What can you do if your patient has a communication style that's difficult to handle? Which concerns do you have about your patients? Okay, can always improve, very important to understand. And anything else that you are thinking about or concerned about, I welcome you to share and ask. Would anyone like to ask a question or share an experience about communication difficulties with language or with culture?
Well, for me,
Hi, Brando.
verbal communication is very important for me, because as a caregiver, we should know the language of our patient, so we can understand what we are trying to say and what they are trying to say with us, because it is very important for communicating. So I believe that we should learn the Hebrew language. And
I agree. Very, very, very important to learn language. But some people have difficulties in learning foreign languages, and so and obviously you have to make an effort. And some people, I think we mentioned this also before, maybe they don't even speak Hebrew in the home. Maybe they speak a different language. In Israel, we have homes that speak Arabic and Russian and French and English and Ethiopian, Amharic, and I don't know, many, many other languages perhaps. So yes, Hebrew, very important. Yeah, but being sensitive and finding out who out there can help you. Brando, have you worked abroad before?
yes.
Where?
Work in Qatar.
In Qatar, okay. As
and
a
also
caregiver in a home or in a
no,
facility?
I am a waiter there.
A waiter, okay.
Yes.
So you
And
learned Arabic?
no, because our co-employer are also Filipino, so sometimes we just speak English or our own language.
Ah,
But
okay.
I worked in Korea before. That's the difficult time because we don't understand. We don't know the Nihongo or Nihongo na the language of Korea. So it's very difficult because you just use sign language.
Sign
That's
language.
why, yeah,
So you
that's why
must
it's
be good
very,
at sign language.
yes.
Listen, it's important. It's important. So you've had experience in being observant and trying to understand what people are trying to say without, understanding the words. Okay, hopefully Hebrew will be, do you know where you're going to be working, Brendo? Which city in Israel?
Shlomi City.
Shlomi.
Shlomi
Okay.
City.
Shlomi. Okay.
Shlomi
And are you
City.
going to be caring for a man or a woman?
Man,
And does he know English?
yes, according to my contract, he knew how to speak in English and
Oh,
Hebrew.
that's wonderful. So that makes it already that much easier. Okay.
Yes.
Shlomi is a really nice area up
Mm,
north and beautiful. Yeah. Okay. You're going to enjoy staying there.
yes.
And I wish you well. Would anyone else like to ask a question or tell us about an experience that they've had in communication, foreign country, foreign language?
I think, Ma'am Sarah, for
Hi,
me,
Ali.
the best communication style, because I'm work before in Middle East, and the people there is very sensitive. So you need to learn their lifestyle before you entering their communicating. Because in Arab country, I worked before in Al Maali Hospital. The older people there is super sensitive. So if you don't know the language, you need to be smooth in your verbal action.
They get offended very fast, you say.
Yes,
That if I understood you. Okay. And
yes,
so, okay, so you had to learn very quickly what you can't do and what you first, more important, what to do, what not to do.
then uh, sometimes when I ask my patient before, then I'm asking what you need, madam, because in Saudi they call you need to call them madam or sir
Aha,
to be
okay.
respectful.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Okay, very important to know. Very
yes,
important to know. Where are
and
you
then
going to be? Yes, go ahead.
and before you talking to them, you need to sympathize their what is their eyes sometimes. If she is he or she is angry or not, and then if they are some verbal action that they want to explain, you can understand them.
Okay. By looking in their eyes, you can understand
Yes,
sometimes. Yes, that's
yes.
very true. So, yes,
Mm-mm.
so you already have very important skills in trying to observe and understand what without language. So, where are you going to be working in Israel? Do you know?
Yes, in Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem. Okay.
Yeah.
And does the family that you are employed with speak English? Anyone there?
The son is know how to speak English, but the mother is Hebrew.
Okay. And are you going to be caring for a man or a woman?
A woman.
For a woman. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So this is going to be a challenge. If she doesn't speak any English, then you have to use all the skills that you've learned
Yes.
in understanding and understanding.
Hopefully she can talk to me in Arabic.
Ah, okay. Did you learn Arabic?
Yes.
Okay. Does she have a Middle Eastern background in Arabic?
According to the son, he has a background in Argentina.
Oh, that's Spanish, not
Yes.
Arabic.
Yes.
Not going to help you there.
But the
Okay.
son is good in speaking in English.
In English. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So if they come from Argentina, they have more of, if they immigrated from South America and from Argentina and they speak Spanish. So I would assume they have more of a European kind of culture background. So they may also appreciate it if you call them, madam and so on. But like I said, you have to ask what they'd like to be
Yes.
called and how to be referred. Okay.
The son of my employer chatting me in WhatsApp. Then I asked him what I call to her mother, and he also, and he said call us in our name.
Right. Okay. Which is what is usually we do in Israel. Right. We call people by their first name without any surnames,
Then
Mrs. Madam.
I
It
think
seems
Israel is so different from Arab country, because in Arab country is they need to call them madam. No, you don't need to call them in their name.
have you come across the word Dawin?
We know.
Dawin? No. Okay.
No.
Different cultures, in Israel, we don't
Yes.
put on airs. We don't
Yeah.
have, all these formalities.
Yes.
But again, each family is different. So you have to be very sensitive and learn. Exactly. Thank you for sharing that, Ali. Anyone else want to voice something about communication and verbal, nonverbal language? Let's take a 5-minute break if no one else has anything to say. And we'll be back in 5 minutes and continue the presentation. Okay, everybody, 5 minutes, please. Okay, so if anyone has anything they'd like to add, discuss, ask, you're welcome again. Okay. On the screen, you see that there are tips for communicating with the elderly. Again, on a YouTube presentation that you can look at your own time. Hopefully everyone has had communication experience with elderly in their family or in other kind of situations. So this isn't the first time they're being encountered with elderly people. Next step in understanding and building a relationship is coordination of expectations. I think we all know how important that is, to coordinate expectations. When starting a new job and starting a new relationship, each side has expectations, hopes, and concerns. Try to have an open conversation with your patient, your employer, and his family about their needs and expectations. It's important that you also express your needs and expectations and try to be honest and open and open and willing to learn. I want to stress something about expectations, because this is probably a new experience, not only for you, but I'm assuming also for the family that's going to employ you. And even if they've already had a few caregivers, that have come and gone in the past, I'm assuming that this is the first time that they've had a live-in caregiver. Perhaps they had people that, helped them in bathing or shopping or, cleaning and so on. But this is probably a new kind of a situation for them as well. And sometimes people have unrealistic expectations, okay, for you as well as for your employer and his family. Perhaps, they have expectations that you're going to now do the job that 10 people did before. Okay, the gardener, the cleaner, the cook, the, the medical assistant, the friend, the lover, I don't know what. Sometimes people have unrealistic expectations. So the only thing that I want to say about that is that you have to give it your 100% in the beginning to try to see what is appropriate for you and what is not. Okay. If the family is asking you not to sleep for a week, this is obviously inappropriate, right? Everybody needs to sleep and have some downtime and so on and so forth. But I'm saying, this is an extreme case. Then, after a week or so, you will say, sorry, people, this is not appropriate. But if they have expectations that you're going to do 100 jobs that 20 people did before, I would assume that you'd want to say, no, this is not acceptable. But I want to encourage you not to say no until you give it your 100%. And not only because you will do the job of 100 people, but because after a while they will understand that it's not, it's not going to work with someone else or with you, and so on. And they will learn to know you and respect you and see that you're doing your best. And so, they'll understand that perhaps their expectations were unreasonable as well. And also about your own expectations. Some people think that, oh, I'm going to be part of the family. I want to love them. I come with an open heart and an open mind. I'm going to, be as open and as loving as possible. And I want to be part of their family. And some people may not want you to be part of their family. Okay. So maybe they just want, to have somebody as a professional helper when they need help, and when they don't, they want you to sit on the side. They want you to, not be present. And that may change after a while as well. Don't forget, you're a stranger. You're coming into their home. This is their safe place. This is, it makes somebody feel very uncomfortable. Probably they'll test you, put you to all kinds of, situations, see who you are, what you are. They don't know anything about you. And so building trust is a very important part of all of this. We're going to get to that in a minute. But coordination of expectations, as much as you think you know about what your needs are and what you expect, you should voice, obviously. And they will also. And then there's it's like a dance again. 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. You get to know each other, you get to trust each other, and don't give up fast. This is what I'm trying to say. Okay. If there is a lack of, symmetry in the expectations, try to see where it's going to go. Along the way, there may be changes in the patient's or your expectations and needs, and it's okay as long as you speak about it. And if you maintain good communication, you can always talk again openly about your expectations and your patient's expectations, and to re-coordinate all of that. Okay, so it's very important to keep an open kind of a conversation. The next step is building trust. This is very important. And we all know that building trust is an enormous step in any kind of relationship, work or not work. And if you lose trust, very difficult to regain it, right? If somebody has in some way lost your trust, very difficult to regain trust. So we must make a big effort not to fall into that kind of a situation. Trust is the basis of any relationship, and especially with the relationship with your patient or your client. So what is involved in trust? Reliability, consistency, sincerity, integrity, commitment, and competence, right? Let's talk a little bit about what each one of those words mean. So what is trust? Trust is one's willingness to be vulnerable to another based on the confidence that the other has goodwill, trustworthy component, honest and openness. And it's a shared belief that you can trust someone to achieve a common goal. So basically, they have to trust you. The family has to trust you, and you have to trust them, right? In the beginning. you're a stranger in a strange country. If something, if you need something, if anything, they're there. They have to be there for you, right? Not to take advantage of you, not to do something harmful to you. And also, they must trust you in the same exact way, right? That they're completely helpless, and you have the keys to their home, to all their valuables, to their, to their body, to everything about them. And so they have to trust you. But this is a process. It doesn't happen instantly, and each person responds differently to this kind of a trust building situation. And vulnerability is a big part of that. Okay, important. If you want someone to trust you, then you must show that you're vulnerable as well, because he is vulnerable automatically by being in your trust. The base of trust, there are many elements. Respect others, very obvious. To be sincere, right? You have to be very sincere. Be honest with your emotions. Integrity, okay? Your word is steel, okay? Whatever you say is, you say what you mean and you mean what you say, right? Being open, very important, okay? Being open and direct, not hide things, not be deceitful, not to, reliability, very important. They must rely on you, that they're going to, be cared for all of the things that they need, right? Food, clothing, bathing, medication, comfort, everything. Consistency. I want to talk about consistency. You must know that the one thing that makes everybody feel more relaxed is consistency. Everybody has their routine, right? What they do first, which sock they put on first, which foot goes on, which shoe first, what, how they brush their teeth, what they do in the morning, everything about all of us, we're adults, we have our routines. And if there's one thing that makes us very comfortable, relaxed, feel safe, is to maintain our routine, okay? And to be consistent, to do the same thing over and over again makes us feel comfortable. So you must learn their routine. You must learn the pace of the way they do things, and do exactly as they, as they ask you to do it, right? Because after they trust you, they'll know that you can do it differently, better, faster, more efficiently perhaps. But in the beginning, you must be attuned to the pace and, of the way they do things, and to do exactly as they do, especially in the kitchen. Very important. I stress the kitchen. People are very sensitive about their kitchens, right? I'm sure you are as well. Your mothers, your wives, all of the family members that you have encountered. Kitchens are very special places for everybody. And the older we get and the more disabled we get, food becomes more important, right? Not too many places where we have pleasure. One of them is food and touch and smell and our hearing, right? So all of those things are very important to be keeping in mind. And of course, the commitment, right? So this is why I say to be able to persevere in a situation where things may seem strange and different and frustrating because of language, because of misunderstanding and so on. Having that commitment, knowing that you're there to stay and you're going to weather it out, or give your best effort, is very important, okay? Very important to you and very important to the family as well. More ingredients of trust: willingness to be vulnerable, a sense of security that the trust recipient will meet expectations, okay? You have to trust them. They say they're going to pay you. They're going to pay you on time. They're going to treat you well. They're going to give you everything that you asked for. You must trust them, right? They're going to come through on everything they say they will. And goodwill, a belief that the recipient of the trust will respect the well-being of the trust giver. Reliability, the connection between predictability and goodwill. Honesty, okay, no, don't have to explain what honesty is, right? You make a mistake, you break something, you come forward and you say, listen, this and this happened. You're sorry, make sure that it won't happen again. And yeah, you're learning. Exactly. People make mistakes and it's okay. open and transparent, right? Not to hide things, not to, be shady about issues. And reciprocity, I think this is the word that any relationship, no matter what, treating the other as we would like to be treated ourselves. This is, I think, in all cultures, understandable. So how to build trust and trust relationship with our patient or our employer? Effective tools. Remember that your patient opens his most private space for you, his home. And like you, he has concerns, expectations, and homes from this relationship. Give trust, trust yourself, and trust the patient, and trust the process of getting to know each other. If you trust the other, they will trust you. Always tell the truth. If something bothers you, don't keep it inside. Try to talk about it. I want to tell you that, there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to feel lonely and perhaps sad. And especially now that, Corona is creeping up all over us again. And so perhaps you're not going to go out and not being able to, to interact and find people that you would like to spend time with other than the family and your employer and so on. Very important, okay? Maintain your own strength. I say this very, very strongly. If you need to meditate, pray, exercise, sing, find the things that make you charge your batteries, right? Very important. You can't be a good caregiver if you're not in good care of yourself, right? Very important. Okay. And another step in creating a good relationship is creating the caregiving alliance. The caregiving alliance consists of 3 essential components. Agreeing on the caregiving tasks, okay, what it is they expect you to do, wash, clean, bathe, I don't know, maybe wash the car once in a while, drive them to the supermarket, whatever it is, what the list of your activities need to be done. Agreeing on the goals of the care, right? The goal is to maintain the person's well-being. This is a big, a big job. What does it entail? And developing a personal relationship consisting of mutual positive feelings, trust, and good communication. I think this is, the caregiving alliance. You need it, they need it, and it's something that is a process that takes time. The caregiving alliance is usually determined at the beginning of a relationship between the caregiver and the patient and constitutes a primary infrastructure for the relationship between them. Such a contract adds stability to the caregiving relationship and a sense of mutual responsibility and partnership, right? They must take care of you and you must take care of them. This is the partnership here, right? If you're feeling good and have everything that you need, everything that they promised you, that they're obligated to give you, that's one part. And then the other part is that, okay, you have to do everything in your power and your knowledge and your ability to care for them and for whatever it is that they expect you to do. This is very important. And the 5th step, taking into account social and cultural components. Part of the caregiving alliance is to take into account consideration social and cultural components. Like, our friend before said that he was in an Arab speaking country and firstly he had to know what not to do, how not to behave, how to, right, take into account all these nuances of social interaction. You and your patient come from different culture and you have different language and lifestyle and different customs and different preferences and of course different religion and beliefs. It's okay for you to express your preference and to keep your customs, but it's better to talk about it and reach an agreement. Try to take into account values, customs, traditions of your patient, includes food preferences, daily routine, and habits. I want to tell you something about Israeli homes. Okay, we all know that electricity is expensive all over the world. And now internet and communication and telephone is probably cheaper than it used to be. And gas is also pretty expensive. and everything is expensive. And having you as part of the household, if they're just a normal family, it's an expense as well. So everybody is trying to cut costs, right? You're trying to cut costs because you want to save your money, and they're trying to cut costs, and everybody is cost conscious. So let me give you a few tips about about how things usually go. Most homes in Israel have solar heaters. I don't know if you are familiar with these. You'll see on the roofs of buildings, of homes, they have these like glass panels, and that usually provides hot water for the homes. We're in winter, so I don't know where you're going to be stationed, in what city, if there's a lot of sun or if there isn't a lot of sun. And so if there isn't a lot of sun, then you turn on a heating unit to heat hot water. So hot water is, basic for bathing, right? For yourself and for your employer, obviously. So firstly, you must be sensitive to that, okay? So, I don't know, you're used to taking a shower 3 times a day with hot water, they may get a little anxious. If you leave the water on while you're washing dishes, they may comment and criticize you. We don't have a lot of water in this country. We try to conserve water. So water is an issue. Gas is an issue. If you turn it on, turn it off, all of those things that you must be just sensitive to it, okay? But it doesn't mean that you're not going to bathe for 2 months. So, I mean, it's all a matter of, learning what's appropriate and when there's hot water, ask, and then, take your shower or whatever you need to do, and ask how they manage things, okay? You don't want anyone to be offended by things that you don't know, right? So all of those things you must learn about, especially the kitchen. I keep going back to the kitchen and food, okay? So ask all the questions. Where you can store your food, in the refrigerator. They ask you to, different place. I don't know. They may not trust that your food would be kosher or whatever, or that you would, know from the beginning not to put meat and milk in the same spot, or maybe they don't care. So all of those things you have to ask, okay? And be direct and polite. There's nothing else that you can do except be polite and smile and smile. Okay, what else do we have here? A discussion. I invite you to ask questions again. If you want to share experiences about, living with old people, living with, all of you are, from what I see, are young people, right? Having a young person coming into an old person's home or a disabled person's home is like, okay, bringing a different animal in, right? You got to learn how to respond, how to relate. They have to learn to read you as well as you need to learn to read them. Okay. Do you have any concerns about any of the steps in building a relationship that I spoke about? Do you have any things that, anybody would like to share about an experience that they had, building a relationship with people that from a different culture, a different country, how it came about? Anyone?
Yes, Miss Sarah. As of my experience, trust is very important as a caregiver.
Trust.
Because yes, because it will affect how they will react on how you treat them. Because if they trust you, you will be comfort in everything you will do, because they will not because they are comfort with you, if they have trust in you, so everything you do will be smooth and very comfortable, because you know that they trust you. And
Exactly.
and they will in as long as you have gained trust for them, you will be comfort, and they will treat you as a family. And I believe that once you have a trust, both of them with a relationship with your patient, it will be nice and easy. That's it.
Okay. Right. So you have to have trust. You can't have a relationship with anyone, with a friend, with an employer, anyone. You have to trust that they're not going to try to harm you behind your back, or cheat you, or do something, that you have to trust them, that you have, and they have your best interest at heart, right? If you need them, God forbid, you feel ill or you don't feel good. I mean, we're living in crazy times. Any one of us, healthy or strong or whatever, we can get sick tomorrow, and we're going to need our employer just as much as they may need us today. So all of those things are very important. You must trust them that they will be there for you if you need something. And of course, yeah, this is what we're talking about, importance of trust. Do you have experience in, how you build trust with someone in a different country? How long it takes? Are there any special, special things that you can do to? Anyone like to share? I think that when you present yourself in an open way, when you present how vulnerable you are, then people automatically, will feel a connection, right? If a person is very closed and very distanced and very, standoffish, then it gives a feeling of being cold and being, kind of challenged. So I think that it might be, to your advantage to take a step forward and, and say you're anxious, you're scared, you're you're alone, you're whatever, to make some kind of an emotional, exchange of what it is that you're feeling in a vulnerable situation. And then people open up to you as well, right? This is an exchange. Anyone else like to say something or ask something?
I will just add, Miss Sarah, because when you gain their trust, you will be adjust about their attitude, your daily routine, and every day. And on the first, it's very difficult. But as time pass by, as you have learned their routine, their attitude, uh, you will be comforted and you will be relaxed because you know how it works and you know the daily routine in every day that you will work. So it just starts in the difficult, but as soon as you have gained their trust and you trust them also, it your 5 years contract will be good.
Maybe more, you never know.
Yes.
Maybe more than 5 years.
Yes.
If you do a good job,
And
then it could be 10 or 15.
maybe your salary will be will be
I have to tell you that from my experience of working with families that employ foreign workers and so on, not everyone can do this job, and it is a job. Families that come across a situation where they have a disabled family member, and if they're working and if they have, children have their own lives and so on. And so it is a very difficult job. And so if they trust you, they will reward you more than you would expect, right? Much more than you're right. So if everybody is happy, they want to make you happy to do a good job. That's all there it is. It's all about that.
right.
So you do a good job, you gain people's trust, and they will reward you, not just the employer, but also the family as well. All right, guys, if anyone has anything else they'd like to share or ask, you're very welcome. If not, we're going to meet again tomorrow at this time.
Hi,
Yes?
Sarah.
Hi. Go ahead.
Yeah. in addition to
Jonalyn?
what you've said here,
Yes.
in addition to what you said earlier, like building trust, is really to take the step to present yourself just the way you are, and to really get to know the family, not only your patient, but the entire family, because every personality is individualized. So it's easier to get connected if you get to know them individually and present yourself just the way you are as well, and build on that.
So right. You're so right. I said before, you have to invest in the entire family because, yeah, you have to gain the trust of the entire family. They're putting in your hands, very important person, their life, their house, they're valuable, everything is in your hands and they have to learn to trust you. And you must see the whole family as a unit, right? That you may take the time to get to know each one, what their story is, what the relationships are between all the people, and how to, who will be there to help you, because basically they know how to deal with these situations that will come up. You'll have difficult situations. You may not know how to deal with them, and you want to know who will be there to help you. Then you call when you don't know what to do, when they're doing something, that's difficult to deal with, right? So yes, you must build a relationship with as many people in the family, neighbors, friends. Yeah, it's a big job, very all-inclusive job. And yeah, and you already know that. So that's very important that it's on your mind to, focus on that as well. Absolutely. Okay. Anyone else would like to share something? Thank you for that, Jonalyn.
Hi, Miss
Hi,
Sarah.
hi, hi.
I was live with my grandma, and I feel that they feel that they are left behind and left by the society, and they you have to learn their history and what they feel, and I think that is a good connection, that to know what she been through and to understand her.
Well, that's very important. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, people that are disabled or old and sick, like I said, this is a crisis, and they just feel like, what's there to wake up for? What they've lost so much, their place in community, their jobs, all the things that made them feel worthwhile. So that's, and also, a part of our job to make a person feel that yes, their life is still worthwhile, and that they matter to the people around them, to you, to their family. That's why they're bringing you to help make their life more worthwhile. And like you said, you have to get to know them and find what makes them feel connected to the world. I would assume that people is the most important thing that makes us feel connected. Everybody feels lonely when they're not connected with people. And so this is, um, Corona again. I keep saying that. Look at us, here we are. This is going to be the medium of our interaction with your family, with your friends, and let's see what they do with it. You'll have to learn and help them, to feel connected, right? I'm going to say something funny, but maybe go on a dating app. I mean, for them. But whatever makes them smile and feel worthwhile. You're so right. It's important to make a person feel that somebody, that people care for them and that every day is important. Okay, thank you for that. Hi, Josephina. What would you like to say? Can't hear you. You have to turn your mic on.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, in addition to that, ma'am, maybe we need to let them feel that our clients are being loved, and maybe that is connected into trust. And if they felt
Absolutely.
love, yeah, and then maybe our whole life with them will be worthwhile. That's all.
Yep. Yep. People become, discouraged and, may think, what have I got to live for? Another day of this, of what I don't have. So absolutely, when you feel loved and connected to people, to anyone and anything, right? I don't know if Anat is listening to us. She said she's going to be in and out with us, but
I'm here.
oh, you're here. All right. I want to encourage you to, to check if your employer, what he feels about pets. Pets are very important. If they have a pet, if they've had a pet in the past, if you don't mind having a pet, in the home, like a cat or a dog, or, in Israel, cats are all over the street, but you can adopt them into the home. And, you know, not just, I just want to say that very often people feel so disabled and so humiliated by needing to be helped in every way. And sometimes one of the things that makes them feel so much more worthwhile, their life is worthwhile, if they can do something for someone else, even if it's to feed a dog, or to pet him, or to make him feel good, or a cat, or a bird, or a fish, or something. So, I mean, don't underestimate the need for people to be out there and still being on the giving side, right? I'm assuming that if you chose this profession, you all have a big sense of being givers, and that makes our life worthwhile. But I think that everybody needs some capacity of being able to feel worthwhile if they're able to, contribute or give in some small way to someone. So yeah, try to check out the idea of pets. Where's your cat today, Anat? It's always on your table.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. Like,
Oh,
they're here, but not on the table. But they,
okay.
I think whoever joined us the last two meetings met some of my cats, at least two.
Okay. Yes, animals are important. It's important also to pet something, to make something feel good together, right? So you can give them a massage and maybe a back massage or a hand massage or a foot massage. But if they can move a hand over something alive, like a kitten or a dog or a cat, it's going to make them feel that much more empowered.
It's like an animal therapy.
Yes. Hey, listen, it's just basic. I have to tell you that once I worked in a facility where people came, from their home to spend the day, and we talked about animals, and we'd have somebody come once a week and bring a dog and a cat, and we talked about different, people are connected to all kinds, it's part of our nature to be connected to animals, and if they like to take care of their plants in the house, and all of those things are very important, touching the earth and touching animals. And a woman brought in her chicken. This is her pet. She has a pet chicken. She kisses him, she hugs him, she feeds him. I mean, it's all good, whatever. I don't know about a snake, but a chicken's good too. So yeah, we got to be open and sensitive to, all the very vital parts that make us, feel good.
Another very important also is trusting and praying to God.
Ah, okay, you're a spiritual person. So yes, if you have that way of, connecting with your spirituality and praying, you're very lucky, that does that for you. Absolutely. So yeah, there are prayer groups on the internet, right? There are karaoke groups on the internet. There are, exercise groups on the internet. Everything is on the net. And we're all here. Okay, guys, anyone else have anything they'd like to share or ask about? So we'll say goodbye for today. We'll say lehitraot. Lehitraot means see you soon. And lehitraot. Lehitraot. We have in Hebrew this rolling R. Lehitraot.
Raot.
Right. Good.
Lehitraot, everyone. And I like to say that tomorrow you will meet an experienced caregiver who've been here for almost 11 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Who's
Yeah.
joining us?
And you, caregiver, we haven't met her yet.
Okay. Okay. So we'll meet her and hear her story and maybe
Yeah.
learn from her experience as well. Good.
Exactly.
What's her name? Anna?
Belia. Belia. Oh, Belia.
Bea? Okay. Very
Oh,
good. And
Belia.
she's from the Philippines, right?
Yes, yes, she's
Okay.
from the Philippines.
Okay. 11
So,
years, long time. Okay.
Exactly. And with 3 different employers.
Okay. So we'll hear about her experience and
Exactly.
see what applies to all of us. Okay. Thank you, Anat. That's good.
Thank you.
So
So
bye, everyone.
Bye, lehitraot.
if you have any
Shalom.
questions, concerns, something, think about it. And tomorrow you'll have the opportunity to ask. Okay. She's open up to answer any question.
Toda raba.
Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Raot.
Later. Oh, nice.
Shalom.
Bye.
Bye.